Hello and welcome to Rajya Sabha Television. You're watching The Big Picture with me, Frank Razan Pereira. US President Donald Trump's former lawyer, Michael Cohen, testified on Tuesday that at the direction of the president, he arranged six-figure hush payments ahead of the 2016 presidential election to adult film actress Stormy Daniels and former Playboy model Karen McDougal. Both women have said that they had affairs with Trump, which he has denied. Cohen gave his testimony in a New York courtroom as part of a deal with prosecutors in which he pleaded guilty to campaign finance violations, tax evasion, and bank fraud. Trump said on Twitter on Wednesday that the campaign finance violations to which Cohen pleaded guilty were not a crime, even though prosecutors and Cohen agreed that they were. Trump made the claim without offering any evidence. His lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, has said that the payments were personal in nature and unrelated to the campaign. On this edition of The Big Picture, we will analyze how much trouble President Trump is in and can he be impeached. Joining me on the program today are Shilkant Sharma, former diplomat, Alok Bansal, Director, India Foundation, and KP Nair, Strategic Analyst. Thank you to all my guests for joining me on this edition of The Big Picture. Mr. Nair, I'd like to begin with you. What is the nature of the trouble that President Donald Trump is in at the moment?
Well, the payments, the hush payments that have been made by Cohen, who now says he did it on behalf of Donald Trump before he became president, it is not certain whether the payments itself are a crime. The crime really, in the sense that it affects Trump, is because it was aimed at influencing an election. So making a hush payment to influence an election is what is the crime. Already, right or wrong, the 2016 election has been vitiated by allegations that the Russians interfered in it. Now, adding to that, the allegation that hush payments were made with the intention of influencing the election raises the question of credibility of the 2016 election on one side. The second issue is whether, if at all this proceeds, reaches its logical conclusion.
And what is that logical conclusion, Mr. Nair?
Which is implicating Trump in the whole process. But the thing is whether he has immunity as a serving president. Whether he can be indicted. The thing is, the US Constitution is silent on whether a serving president can be impeached. The nearest the Supreme Court came to a decision on this was during Nixon's time, when Nixon was ordered to surrender, the White House was ordered to surrender the Watergate tapes. But he surrendered. So the Supreme Court did not go beyond that. The Constitution is very clear that a president who is guilty of misdemeanor, misconduct, can be impeached. But the previous judgments on constitutional cases have also implied, not said but implied, that after impeachment, a president can face the music in the courts.
So he has to be impeached first, and then only then can he face the music in court.
Yes, so the political process of Donald Trump paying for what he did, if he has committed a crime, takes precedence over the criminal aspect of it.
Right. Thank you for putting that into perspective for us. Ambassador, how serious are these allegations that are being made against the president, and can he wither this storm as well? There have been several right through his presidency and before that as well. Here's another challenging time that has been put in front of him, but he seems to have dismissed it along with the White House as well, saying that it is just frivolous.
Taking the cue from where KP left, the political dimension is in the forefront for the kind of question that you have asked. And politically, unless the Democrats win the elections in November and they capture Senate and Congress and the House of Representatives, this political process cannot take off. Now, his strategy is of defiance. He denies, he counter-accuses, he openly dismisses the media as fake news. Now, because of that, the media in the US has all ganged up against. Last week there was this editorials given by Boston Globe of 100 editorials because he called the media enemy of people or something. So, as a result, he has a very hostile press. So, when you read the US press, there is an impression of a storm. But when you analyze the whole thing, as KP mentioned, criminal aspect of it, the president, it may not stick because they haven't done it, and only after he finishes his term can criminal proceedings come. But as one of the newspapers said, there is no stomach in the US for proceeding against ex-presidents. So he'll escape it. And during office, the only way is impeachment. Second, his strategy is now to get his voters, his vote bank. So for that, his defiance and his constant allegation that it is Democrats who are doing it, and so whatever allegations are there, he dismisses this as what Democrats have done it.
And he's got quite a vocal vote bank, doesn't he?
Yes, and then you see he goes about it with such defiance that whoever accuses him, his voters are supportive. But then problem is that his own team, one by one, are falling. Like Michael Cohen. Now there's another chap who is a counselor in the White House. His name is Don McGahn. Now he spent 30 hours with Bob Mueller last weekend. And the president himself treats that, well, this guy McGahn is not John Dean. John Dean is the guy who in Nixon's time had come out and accepted, he was the one who blurted out all the secrets of the White House. So he said he's not like a rat, he's not a rat like John Dean. So, but one by one, many of these guys are coming. Paul Manafort has been, he was campaign chief. He has been indicted on several counts.
Right.
The papers now say that Bob Mueller is trying to probably get plea bargain. If he gets plea bargain, then he might at least come out of the prison. Otherwise, he'll have to spend the whole life in jail.
In jail, yeah.
But there is a talk about the president giving him a pardon. So it's a little in the gray area. This impeachment idea is jumping the gun at the moment.
Right. And even if you talk about the impeachment, it looks like only the press, Alok Bansal, is talking about it at this moment. And President Trump himself is talking about it because he said that if you impeach me, I'm going to take the others down with me as well. That's clearly a threat probably to the fence-sitters as far as the Republican senators are concerned, because all of them have some serious business interest.
See, what he's trying to say is the stock markets will crash. He's actually pandering to his core vote bank. That is the white right-wing evangelical Midwest voters, which actually have supported the Republicans. And as of now, considering the party positions in House of Representatives and Senate, he doesn't seem to be in threat. To my mind, even if this is established that hush money was paid, I think nothing is going to come out of it, because US electorate, by and large, is really not very sensitive to such misdemeanors. What to my mind is critical is this investigations which are going on his Russian linkages, because national security is an issue where his core vote bank will probably switch sides, because the core vote bank which supports Donald Trump, the ultra right-wing Republicans, will not compromise if they come to know that yes, Russians were influencing his elections, and I think he's got some back channel communication lines opened with Russians and things like that. That to my mind is more critical, because that investigation is continuing. Every now and then you keep getting certain revelations which keep coming out saying that this has happened, various agencies are investigating. And as Ambassador Sheel Khan Sharma said, that his tactics till now has been counterattack. Anybody who says, come out with allegations against them and come out with statements which appeal to his core voters, because he's looking at next elections and the midterm congressional elections which will come, House of Representatives elections, as and when they come up. So he is looking at that part where he is not really worried about the legalese, whether he's actually committed something which is illegal or something. He's pandering to his voters because he knows that as long as he's president, he's secure.
And that core vote bank only seems to be getting stronger and stronger with time.
His approval ratings are at this point of time are phenomenal.
Yeah, are the best ever, I guess.
And from when he started, his approval ratings were among the lowest. But at this juncture, his approval ratings are better than what they were of Obama at the corresponding time. So this shows that this sort of attack that is taking place of hush money payment or this or that is not really sticking. And as I said, the only way his core vote bank will actually shift allegiance is if there is a case where they feel that US security is being threatened by this man continuing as president. Now,
Right.
that is a serious allegation. If they succeed in proving that this man's continuation as US president is going to jeopardize US security, then this core vote bank, the Midwestern states, the hardcore white right-wing American vote will shift because I think they would not like to compromise with national
Right.
security.
You know, Mr. Nair, I'm going to go back to your opening statement, talking about the issue reaching its logical end. Say, for, it does reach there. Then what is the process of impeachment really? What happens after that?
You mean what happens after the impeachment?
No. I mean, what is the process of impeachment? What happens? How is it to be done? And, the process itself, the entire process.
Well, we saw that in the case of Bill Clinton during the Monica Lewinsky affair.
Episode, yes.
So the process is pretty long, but the critical point is when it goes to the House of Representatives. And the House of Representatives impeached Bill Clinton. But Bill Clinton escaped because the Senate exonerated him by a small margin. So the process is very long. It is nowhere near, it is not anywhere near reaching its logical conclusion or the beginning of the process of conclusion. So it will take a while. My feeling is that everything depends on the November elections. There are indications that Senate may go out of Republican hands in November. There are even fears that many House seats are competitive, and if the Democrats gain Senate and House, then the entire political framework will change, you see. Then Republicans will turn against him. And then, of course, meanwhile, the Mueller investigation will take its logical course. Mueller is pursuing a line where he is using his long experience of being with the FBI, investigation, everything. He hasn't attacked the big fish yet. He is trying to catch people in the periphery, like Cohen, Manafort, all these people he is trying, and he has several others in the pipeline, you see. He is getting these people to commit themselves to going over to his side, turning approver or spilling the beans and all that. So gradually he is building a fairly small army of people who will legally turn against Trump. So that process will take some time. Meanwhile, if the political process also goes against him, that is the November midterm congressional elections, then the tide will turn against him. And once Mueller's process takes its course and he has built up an ironclad case, then it can go to the House of Representatives. But even there, supposing the Republicans get back both houses, impeachment cannot take place, you see. So in which case you have to build up a very strong case like what was done against Richard Nixon. Such a strong case that he is forced to give up. But Trump is not Richard Nixon, you see. Trump will never give up. So my feeling is that this is going to be a long drawn out drama which is bad for the United States. and by implication for the rest of the world.
You know, talking about implications for the rest of the world, Ambassador, you know, what implications is this going to have on India, really? Because India-US ties are robust at this point in time. We seem to have worked out our differences as well after the 2+2 dialogue and all, you know, and all those aspects. Is this going to have any implications on ties with India?
I think for India, this kind of a discussion at this juncture is too far afield. You know, what is happening is purely domestic in the US context, and so it's better that we don't worry about it so much, because President Trump and his close advisors, they're very sensitive to what others are saying. So given that kind of a situation, we have to be very cautious, and anything which you say, if it gives the impression that it is imminent, it is not factually correct. It is not like as was said earlier. You see, Bob Mueller's exercise will come to a fruition when he might find out something about Russian interference in elections. But thereafter, the elections have to be there. Congress, House of Representatives has to have a democratic majority. They have to decide to impeach. Then they have to set up a congressional prosecutor, a special prosecutor by the Congress, because Bob Mueller will not go for the impeachment. Like when Clinton was impeached, there was this fellow who was prosecutor appointed by the House of Representatives. So that process is dependent upon so many things. Then what he's doing, as I said before, he is appealing to the racially minded. Like his latest tweet about South Africa is really, something like he keeps breaking the barriers which you might have in mind that the US president would not do. He has come out openly. In South Africa, the government has now tried to appropriate land belonging to the white community,
right,
and give it to the blacks. Now, anyone would stay off this thing, but his White House has come out with a statement which seems to castigate this thing. Now, this appeals directly to the white supremacists in the US. Now, their that is the core supporters. Then there are these people who are his advisors, like this chap Steve, who used to be his chief of staff. Now, he is still helping him out, and they have a certain game plan. So, you might say that these tweets and all that give the impression of being, somewhat lacking coherence. But there is a certain pattern in this whole thing. And that is, for instance, his economic policies are leading to the rise of the stock market, the rise of the dollar, and also they're giving trouble to the rivals. Like China, for instance, is in difficulty. The trade talks have not gone much further.
The tariff war has only escalated
Yes.
even more with China.
So, for us, the implication could only be in this direction, that the economic consequences of the tariff war might impact on us, is already impacting.
Right.
But politically, I think I think it's a bit premature for us to really boil our heads about it. This is what my feeling is.
And our relationship with the US goes beyond the president as
It's
well.
bipartisan.
Because, yes,
It's bipartisan.
it's bipartisan at the end of the day, and we have very strong ties, strategic ties at the moment with the United States. So it's a domestic issue, is what you're suggesting, and it's not something that we should be concerned about as of now.
We should not be articulating about it.
Yes, certainly. Alok Bansal, as long as Donald Trump continues to deliver domestically, is it safe to say that he is out of trouble?
I wouldn't say so. I would not like to say, and I personally feel he is going to continue to deliver domestically as far as economic front is concerned. Obamacare, etc., is a different issue which he will try to repeal, and he has run into some opposition within his own political party. I also feel that if this Russian ironclad case emerges, then there will be many people within the Republican Party who may be willing to vote against him, actually, and may be willing to support an impeachment motion against him. Because to my mind, a Republican core constituency, if you are actually a Republican senator or somebody, you would not like to antagonize your core constituency by supporting someone who the core constituency feels is anti-national. So if that sort of an ironclad case comes out, then I think there is a chance that may take place. From India's point of view, I think it is that Trump's anti-immigrant posture, and which is, I think, looking at his latest tweets, etc., which show his racial mindset, might become more strident in days to come. So for us, we should be prepared, because as he gets cornered, he might become far more defiant and far more his tweets might become far more aggressive and far more racially oriented.
Since we're talking about the immigration and immigration policy, several CEOs have already reacted and warned Trump that this could lead to a lot of trouble.
See, I have no doubts that the policies that he's following, they might give a short-term gain, but in the long term are extremely detrimental as far as the interests of the United States of America are concerned. Because to my mind, United States of America has risen to this position by being able to attract the best brains from across the globe. If that ability to attract the best brains from across the globe actually diminishes, the US supremacy will start actually eroding. And if he becomes that xenophobic as he's trying to become, then we are going to see that sort of a problem. And while as of now he seems firmly in saddle, and I have no reasons to believe otherwise, but I somehow get a hunch that President Trump is not going to last his term. Again, I do not wish to say so. I have no analytical support, but this is a hunch which I have been getting from the day one of his presidency, that he's not going to last his term. And so to that extent, I think American foreign policy establishment...
Several people, Mr. Bansal, stuck their neck out and even said that he will not be the president of the United States, but he proved them all wrong. And he has almost completed 2 years now.
I fully agree, but as I said, I have a hunch, and I may be wrong, and I'm willing to stick my neck out, and I say that somehow I get a feeling. I'm not, it's not a logical or analytical feeling, but somehow...
But it's just a gut feeling.
It's a gut feeling, and I feel we must be prepared for that eventuality.
Okay. All right. Let's get some closing comments now from all my panelists, starting with you, Mr. Nair. Is what's happening in the United States right now going to have any implications, any impact on the midterm polls in November?
Difficult to say at this stage, because the congressional and Senate elections are often determined, especially the House elections, are determined by local factors. The popularity of the candidate in a district, state issues, and all that. So, just as foreign policy doesn't influence presidential election very much, national policy has minimal influence on Senate and House elections, especially House elections. But what may be at stake is the morale of the Republican Party. If they have a president who is being dragged through sleaze, it inevitably affects the morale, and it gives the Democrats an upper hand. You know, they have, they can present, they can approach the election from a bigger moral point of view. But something we haven't touched on since we are in closing comments I want to mention. I think eventually the big problem that Trump will face is within his household, you know. The First Lady, Melania Trump, can you imagine what she is going through? I mean, yesterday Trump virtually accepted that he slept with these women of ill repute, you know. I mean, he more or less admitted to it. So you have a situation where the First Lady is going through things, that a situation far worse than with what Hillary Clinton went through under Monica Lewinsky, and she is rebelling in her own way, you know. Her 2 weeks ago, her parents were made US citizens, taking a route which Trump despises and how he has come out against on record, bringing in relatives, you know. So on the one hand, he is having a political struggle. If he has to deal with a domestic struggle as well, that man, he is not a young man, you know. So that may be what will cripple his ability to function as chief executive and commander-in-chief.
All right. Ambassador, as Donald Trump and the White House concentrate on issues domestically, and we've also seen that the route that the United States has taken over the last few years has been that of looking inwards and internally first. Does this mean that world affairs take a backseat as far as the United States are concerned, and China then, slips into these positions?
That was a fear some months back, but after this trade war with China, China has also become very cautious, because any attempt by the Chinese to get into that role would further antagonize the US, and then it'll gang up. The rest of the world will also gang up. So there is this. I don't think this fear today is as strong as it was a few months back. The point which I see coming is that after the elections, even if they don't impeach him, his will be a presidency which is besieged by constant, problems.
Controversies.
And his advisors, one by one. I mean, if you look at the long retinue which has left White House of eminent persons, and the way they have all been coming out to say things, openly, and even his choice of people. For instance, this is my personal view. Like Rudy Giuliani, he comes out and says things. He's supposed to defend his president, or he blurts out some things which are very difficult. So, at times, it boggles your mind. What is he up to? And constantly, like in San Diego, for instance, this is representational House of Representative elections. The guy Chris Collins, whom he's supporting, he also has a criminal record, but he goes out and supports him. Now, he thinks that his proteges will rise against the Republican establishment, the established figures. It has happened somewhat. Some of the primaries, the Republican established fellows have been beaten down by, johnnies come latelys. So there is this fear which is there.
Right. Alok Bansal, closing comment from you on the program. Conclude the program for us.
As I said, Mr. Trump's team is, I think, crumbling, and I personally feel, though he seems firmly in saddle at this point of time, this particular revelation may not do anything to him. But as I said, the investigations onto this Russian linkages, as and when it comes out, and if there is something worthwhile, then may affect him adversely. From our point of view, whichever way it actually goes is good. India enjoys a bipartisan support. Because of this investigation, Trump has been forced to take a hostile anti-Russian line, which is not in our interest actually, like certain pressures which are building up. If this issue is resolved either way, I think this will be good for us, because if US-Russia rapprochement increases, then it's good for India, because we have had good relations with us and we have been forced to take sides in some of the issues of late, which is actually a problematic thing from India's point of view. So as and when this gets decided, I think, and as I've told you my gut feeling, which has got no basis,
yes.
But I somehow feel President Trump not lasting because of impeachment, because of health, I can't say, but somehow I get a gut feeling that from the day one he has taken over.
He's been a fighter. He could prove you wrong as well. You never know. Like
I would
he has
love to
done
be proved wrong.
Like
I would be very happy, because I think it's good. His continuation at this point of time is good for India.
Okay, all right. On that note, then, we'll call it a wrap on this edition of The Big Picture. Thank you to all my guests for joining me on the program and putting things into perspective for us. That's it from me. See you again next time.